Boomies have been rocking the Shadowlands charts, both in PvE and PvP, and regardless of the Convoke nerf that hasn't really done that much anyway, they remain one of the most powerful druid specs. In this video, we'll be going over your best choices for Covenants, Soulbinds, and Conduits, both for PvE and PvP, as the last Soulbind row has been unlocked, and now you can get your Boomie all set up if you haven't done so already. My name is Ivona from momsden.com, and if you're here for the first time, you may want to subscribe to the channel, as I do a bunch of simple WoW guides that help you with your classes, dungeons, raids, and collectibles, and they're super easy to follow. If you like getting those free wins in WoW to help you play better or collect more stuff, you're in the right place. When it comes to your Covenant choice, Boomies don't have a singular go-to answer regardless of how many people you see choosing Night Fae. Night Fae Boomkin is good, but so is Kyrian. They're wildly different when it comes to you choosing which one to go for, and that really depends on what you like to do. For both PvP and PvE, you've got two choices I've just mentioned, Night Fae and Kyrian. If you're choosing Night Fae, you've got a nice single target boost with Convoke the Spirits, and that works really well on boss fights and in arenas, where you're focusing on one enemy, and you have increased mobility, which is awesome for PvP. If you choose Kyrian, you have some amazing tools like Phial of Serenity that removes your curses and poisons and heals you, but what's actually cool is the Kindred Spirit bond. It allows you to connect with one of your teammates and have them deal additional damage, healing, or absorption for a few seconds every minute. This is great if you're going with someone who's more powerful than you, as you can help them utilize their cooldowns while you're also dealing more damage thanks to that pool. It's kind of like forming a collective consciousness of your power, if you will, where you both draw additional bonuses during that time. In essence though, they both have their ups and downs, so if you're doing single target content like raiding and arenas, Night Fae is your best bet. If you're in a more multi-target environment like Battlegrounds or Mythic Plus, or you're doing arenas with someone who's more powerful than you, you'll be very useful as a Kyrian. That's why we'll be going over both of these options. When it comes to the choice of your Soulbinds for a fully unlocked Soulbind tree, regardless of whether you're doing PvP or PvE, it should be the same. If you're Night Fae, you want to go for Nia, and if you're Kyrian, Pelagos is your best bet. Your conduits and choice of powers will be slightly different in each case, but the good news is that you don't need to switch your Soulbinds for your chosen content. One thing I'm not gonna do is get into your specific Soulbind trees for multi-target and single target. As this is a simple guide, I'll give you the basic option that you can tweak if you so choose. Let's talk about Night Fae PvE tree. Your first power is Grove Invigoration, which grants you additional mastery and HP when you're healing or dealing damage, and using Convoke increases the amount of it, which is probably what you're doing every cooldown anyway. Your first conduit that you want to get is the Conflux of Elements, the potency conduit dropping from your weekly world bosses. It increases your damage and healing while you're channeling Convoke, so here's another reason to be Convoke dependent. You'll be putting that conduit into the left slot, moving down the tree into Run Without Tiring ability, which heals you while you're in your soul shape form. The next conduit you need is Front of the Pack, the finesse conduit dropping from General Khal or Geiger as a low tier conduit, which buffs your stampeding roar's radius and duration. Next, you're going left and taking Nature's Splendor ability, well, because getting fish is better than gaining movement speed, which you already have as a druid. Then you want Tough Bark conduit that reduces your bar skin's cooldown. This one you'll be getting from Minerva Darkvein in Castle Nathria. You'll go left yet again into a Well-Honed Instincts conduit, which allows you to cast Frenzied Regeneration once in 90 seconds if you fall below 40% HP. You'll get this one from Glob Grob in Plaguefall Dungeon and some other rares in Maldraxxus as a lower tier. Finally, there's Nia's last row ability, which is Nia's Tool Burst. This slows down your enemies and helps you deal a nice boost of damage to them, which is why this is one of the most wanted Soulbinds. Your Kyrian PvE tree will be different, of course, with Pelagos as your Soulbind. Your first ability is Combat Meditation, increasing your mastery and spawning blue balls around you that extend this effect if you walk through them. They look kind of like those spheres that spawn around you and heal you in Torghast when you collect them, so it's a good idea to do that. You want your first conduit to be Stellar Inspiration, dropping from Mordretha in Theater of Pain, and this is a good one because it has a chance to double the time your Moonfire and Sunfire are up on your enemy, making you pretty much forget about them after you've cast the dots on some weaker minions if it procs. Then you'll go left and have Focusing Mantra, which reduces the cooldown on your Phial of Serenity by a second every time you beat an enemy, and you'll most likely feel this effect while fighting trash mobs in between bosses. Your second conduit here will be well-honed instincts, just like in the Night Fae tree, and you'll go left yet again and get the Bond of Friendship, as it helps you reduce the ridiculously long cooldowns on your Druid services whenever you defeat an enemy. Your next conduit is Fury of the Skies, which you can get from Margrave in the Plaguefall dungeon. This one buffs your arcane and nature damage, depending on whether you're casting Moonfire or Sunfire. Just kidding, it buffs both at the same time, because you need to have both of those up all the time. Let's just keep it at that. Your next conduit is Front of the Pack, just like in the Night Fae tree, and the final Soulbind ability is Let Go of the Past. This essentially helps you take less magic damage when you're casting spells and doing damage, so, you know, cast spells and do damage. Now let's talk PvP and what your Soulbind tree with Night Fae would look like. Your tree will look the same as for PvE until the second conduit, in which case you'll use the Tireless Pursuit for some additional movement speed. This one will ironically drop from Sludge Fist, as he's a really slow guy even when he charges into someone. Instead of going left and collecting crafting regions, in PvP you want as much movement speed as possible, so you'll choose Swift Patrol. Then you'll be going into your third conduit slot, and this one will also be the same as your PvE one with the well-honed instincts. As your fourth and final conduit, you'll go for Innate Resolve, which helps with self-healing and regeneration quite a little bit. This path will lead to Nia's Tools Burrs, as we covered it in the PvE section, so I won't be talking about it as much. Your Kyrian PvP tree is going to differ from the PvE one, and that's what we'll be going over. After combat meditation, you'll go right and use your Tireless Pursuit conduit just like you would for your Night Fae PvP tree. From there, you'll acquire the Phial of Patience power, helping your Phial of Serenity heal you additionally, but it all happens over 10 seconds, so just be aware of that. Your second conduit will be well-honed instincts, just like in the Night Fae tree, and from there you'll go into the Cleaned Vestments. The Soulbind row is kind of not very good for PvP, but your left side option is even more useless in this case, so it's better to at least collect some material while you're at it. Your third conduit is the Fury of the Skies, buffing your arcane and nature damage when you apply your dots, and from there you'll go into the Innate Resolve, which is your final conduit slot. I already covered what those two are and where to find them in the other timestamps, so you can check those out if you need to. From there, you're getting your one and only final Soulbind row power, the Let Go of the Past, and that concludes your Kyrian PvP tree. That's pretty much all there is to your Covenants, Soulbinds, and Conduits when it comes to Balance Druid. If you have any questions or you're in a different Covenant and you're looking for some advice on this, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. If you found this video useful, leave it a like, and if you'd like to support the channel and help keep the content going, press that join button and find out about all the awesome perks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.